Well, thank you for that important statistic because, we got to count off the bill. The real difficulty in a bill like the Healthy Families Act is that we know that some people who are just looking on the next quarter, the next minute, the next moment, and if they're going to have to spend a little bit of money in the short term, they're going to say, well, that's going to cost money. Well, you know what? Not doing it is going to cost way, way, way more money. And so the Healthy Families Act is a part of a progressive vision. It's just like the Wagner Act, which guaranteed workers the right to organize, just like Social Security, just like workers' compensation, just like a number of important programs and pieces of legislation passed in America that may have been considered liberal or even radical at one time, but Americans have come to rely on and expect from our government. It's part of what we do as Americans together. We share, we allow in the marketplace, you can do your own thing. You're free to come up with your idea and make your money, but certain things we do together. We defend the nation together. We defend our streets with the police together. We provide justice through our courts together. We make sure our elderly are not eating dog food through Social Security. We do this together. We make sure that people whose parents die have survivor benefits through Social Security. We build infrastructure together. And this is another thing we should do together. We should come together and say that 7 days of paid sick leave a year is very modest request, particularly for low and moderate income workers, and it pays tremendous dividends down the line. If the gentlelady would allow me, I just want to share a couple of stories from my own state of Minnesota.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll yield right back to the gentlelady. Chrissy from Minnesota. Chrissy says, I'm currently a stay-at-home mom. Happy Mother's Day, Chrissy. However, prior to that, I worked as a natural foods manager in a conventional grocery store for 6 years. This company offered no sick leave at all to any of its employees. Many people often work sick out of necessity. Chrissy, we're trying to do something about it. Amanda from Minnesota. I'm fortunate enough to have sick time at my job at the University of Minnesota. When I was in my early 30s, I was totally healthy, exercised regularly, at a healthy weight, and suddenly developed a rare kidney disease requiring multiple trips to multiple clinics to get multiple diagnostics. This took a lot of time away from work. Thankfully, I was able to get paid for this time. If I didn't have any income, in addition to the stress of the condition, it would have been unbearable. I'm not so naive to believe that this is a reality of every workplace. I'm very much aware of the fact that many people face struggles similar to mine on a daily basis. It's time to guarantee workers paid time to care for themselves so they're able to get their work done efficiently at no risk to themselves or their coworkers. Or what about the situation that Cindy is in? Cindy from Minnesota. I work a part-time job for a university as a researcher. In my category, sick leave is all discretionary and flexible. However, no paid vacation days accrue ever for me. The only way I feel legit in scheduling a week's vacation is if I am never sick and make up those hours pre and post. That's from Cindy. I offer these stories because I think it's important to point out that the Healthy Families Act is going to help Americans all over the United States. Real people are suffering because of a lack of a paid sick days. This is in keeping with the protection for workers' right to organize, Social Security, workers' compensation. This is right in line with every important and progressive step Americans have made in order to improve the quality of life for your average Americans. This is like the minimum wage. This is like workers' rights. This is like civil rights. This is like women's rights. This is what we should do at this time. It's a part of a progressive vision that we are going to work to make reality for Americans. I yield back to the gentlelady. Just a moment, yes. I'll be right back with you. I just want to say that if we were to pass the Healthy Families Act, then the larger businesses, the medium to larger businesses would provide these 7 days. Now, big business has a way of setting a trend for small business. So if big businesses did this, perhaps small businesses with fewer than 15 employees would say, hey, it's working for them, it's the industry standard, it makes sense, we might just do it voluntarily. And I yield back to Jim.
Well,
I thank the gentlelady for yielding. Let me tell you about Leslie from Minnesota. Leslie says, I used to wait tables full time, and there are rare occasions where you can get sick, where you can get paid sick days, like when I work for a large chain hotel. However, most people don't realize that you will be paid your hourly minimum wage, not any compensation for lost tips, which is the vast majority of your money as a wait person. In fact, most servers barely seek a paycheck. It is eaten up with taxes taken for declared tips. Yes, you are required to declare tips. It's a myth that you can conceal this information. So even if you do get paid sick leave or paid vacation, which is unlikely, it is not in your interest to use it. Servers basically cannot get paid unless they are physically at work, and restaurants are such hectic places that if you are short-staffed, the quality of service suffers everywhere. Customers in restaurants are notoriously unsympathetic to details like this. Just another quick one. Kari from Minnesota. My kids are ages 2 and 3, and the child care center doesn't take them when they're sick. Neither my husband nor I have paid sick days. Please pass the Healthy Family Act. And I yield back to the gentlelady.
Well, thank you, gentlelady, for yielding. You might end up being charged with negligence, knowing that that you're sick, knowing that you're contagious, and still going to work. Might potentially some smart lawyer might figure out a way to sue you for negligence because you exposed them to an illness. Of course, it could be taken up by workers' compensation, but somebody's going to have to pay something somewhere. And the fact is that clearly, if you got an on-the-job illness or injury, it would be a workers' comp claim. So bottom line is, it's something that we all need to be concerned about. And I just want to thank the gentlelady from Wisconsin. As she knows, she's one of my very favorite members of this House of Representatives, and just a wonderful human being all the way around. I want to wish the gentlelady Gwen Moore for happy Mother's Day, and also want to thank her for her very important presentation on global health for mothers on this time. And I just want to say that we have a duty and obligation to present a progressive vision for America. Which way forward? Well, the way forward is to be more inclusive, to bring more people into the warm embrace of the American people's generosity. The way forward is peace and dialogue. The way forward is to have a better America, higher quality of life for everybody, because everybody does better when everybody does better, as the late, great Senator Paul Wellstone said. So with that, it's been another progressive message, and I want to thank the gentlelady and yield back the balance of our time.